Hi everyone. Today I'll be talking about how the US national debt and the construction industry are connected. At first, they might seem like two completely different things, but they actually affect each other a lot. Government spending on infrastructure projects is often tied to federal debt, and changes in debt can impact jobs, project funding, and even construction costs. As we all know, the US debt is at record highs, over $36 trillion. dollars. A big reason for this is that the government borrows money to fund many programs, including infrastructure projects like highways and bridges. The construction industry depends on these public projects, which means that the federal budget and national debt directly affect construction jobs and opportunities. The construction industry is a huge part of the economy. It makes up about 4.5% of the country's GDP, with around $2.2 trillion spent on construction in 2024. More than 8 million Americans work in construction, from builders to engineers and project managers. About 75% of construction spending comes from the private sector, but about a quarter is public spending from the government projects. That 25% is really important because it means the construction industry is tied closely to federal and state budgets. Right now, the US national debt is around $36 trillion, dollars, which is more than the entire yearly economy. We have had budget deficits every year since 2001, which means the government is spending more than it collects in taxes. One big issue is that the interest on the debt is now over $1 trillion dollars per day. That money could have gone to infrastructure or education, but instead is just paying off the interest. This also affects the government's credit rating, which can raise borrowing costs across the economy. Government spending on infrastructure is a big part of construction. About $500 billion dollars per year is spent on public projects like roads, schools, and bridges. The Infrastructure Investment Act The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act of 2021 added another $550 billion dollars in funding for projects over several years. But here's the catch: about 80% of federal discretionary spending, including infrastructure, is financed by debt. This means that while these projects are great for the construction industry, they also add to the national debt. Government projects create a lot of jobs and often help keep construction employees' employment steady during economic downturns. But if the national debt forces the government to cut back on spending, we could see fewer jobs and fewer projects in the future. High interest rates, which can be linked to large debt, and slow down private construction because loans become more expensive. On top of that, job training programs for construction workers could be cut if budgets are tight, which would make it harder to find skilled workers for the future. To wrap things up, debt funded infrastructure spending has been great for the construction industry in the short run, but the rising national debt could create problems in the long term. If interest rates keep going up or if the government cuts spending to manage debt, the construction companies might see fewer projects and job opportunities. We need to find a balance. Investing is critical. Infrastructure while also keeping debt under control. This could mean focusing on high value projects and using funding methods like public private partnerships. And here are the sources that I used.